Hey everyone, I'm Wendy Maxudis, First Selectman Town of Simsbury, and we're back with After Hours with Wendy and friends from a little hiatus since the summer. Tonight I am talking to Steve Antonio, not as the Deputy First Selectman, but as the proprietor of Antonio's and the now recently closed Hoops and Hops. What we're going to talk about today is the history of Hoops and Hops, its relevance to the community, and then what's coming next for Steve. So, hey Steve.
Hey Wendy.
Just wanted to ask you a couple questions to start out. Just really quickly, Antonio's, how long have you been in business? You know, how did that get started? And we'll transition to Hoops and Hops from there.
Sure. To go all the way back, my grandparents came over and they started as dishwashers, worked their way up in the restaurants on both sides independently. My mom and dad met when the grandfathers went back for their wives. They met on the boat back. And my mom was the firstborn daughter and my dad was the firstborn son. They got together. Of course, they were going to open a restaurant. They had a choice of New Hartford or Simsbury. They did some due diligence.
Yep.
Eventually, they came to the north end of town in Simsbury. They opened up Antonio's in June of 1964, and we've been here ever since. We opened up in Holloway's Plaza, spent the first 9 years there, and then business was good enough that we bought a cornfield where Antonio's is located now and moved the restaurant there.
Okay, so one thing I just want to note is you met your wife as a salad girl at
she
Antonio's?
Was a busser.
A busser.
Salad girl is the dated term.
Okay.
She was a salad girl, and I was a pizza cook. And, those two departments at the restaurant are side by side, and we flirted, and it came
Rest
to be.
is history.
Yeah, we started dating. She was 16 and I was 17. So
Okay.
It's been a wonderful journey
you have
together.
a great family.
I'm very fortunate. Thank you.
Just a couple things. I grew up in Bloomfield, and we used to go over the mountain to Antonio's for like fancy birthday dinners. That's all I remember in the 70s. So really are here to talk about Hoops and Hops, a landmark in town that many people love. Many people maybe don't even have never stepped foot in there. But I wanted to talk to you about that. Couple things on that. The origin story, why did you start Hoops and Hops? How did you name Hoops and Hops? And why did you do it? I guess it's a circular question.
Well, my wife's always asking me why I do things. But long story short, it was a business move. When we opened up Antonio's in 1974, that's when we moved across the street.
Yeah.
Originally next door was Masters Hardware. And they went out of business in 1976. And my father had a decision to make of whether he rented that unit or expanded the restaurant. The demand was great enough that we expanded over to that side and made it a party room. Fast forward 20 years, and I got involved, I've been there my whole life, but I took over in 1987. And in the early 90s, there was a serious dip in private functions, and our party room was empty except for Rotary used to meet there once a week, but there was nothing else. We sat down, talked about what other concepts we could go with. It was my Uncle Lou that came up with Sports Bar. Sports bars in 1992 is when these discussions took place, were new and cutting edge, and no one had seen them or anything. We were actually the second sports bar in Hartford County. So we decided we would go with the sports bar theme, and that's where we started.
Okay. One thing I wanted to talk about that I asked you to bring along was, it started in the 90s. Right? Early
93
90s.
is when we actually opened.
Okay, and I said this somewhere, I think in one of my reports as a first selectman. I never went there because I was home with babies. So my bar hopping days were over in the early 90s. But I asked you to bring along an activities calendar of kind of some of what it looked like back then. And I was going to ask, what kind of activities did you have going on at the bar? Or initially, and then you transitioned later to live music and things like that.
So one of my mentors, my dad knew a guy from church, not to say it, who had the other sports bar.
Okay.
I said we were the second one. And he gave me these words of wisdom to build it, and your clients will tell you where to go. Okay. And that proved true for us. When we first opened up, we were very sports centric, meaning we were all about sports. That's all it was sports and beer, to be quite frank. And then That was 93 when we opened. We started having solo acoustic acts in like 94. In 95, we started adding duos, again, acoustic. And from there, we stepped into electric music. And because it's what the customers wanted, we really went heavily into music. And we're a destination for a lot of big names. They would play New York and they would play Boston. And they would need a bar in between. Hartford, albeit has tried for many years and somewhat successfully to have a nightlife, didn't always have the pull that they were able to pack the place. We were very fortunate that we were able to, so we became the conduit between New York and Boston for these regional touring acts.
Okay, so name a couple just for the heck of it. I know Max Creek.
Max Creek was, well, I have a personal friendship with them.
Yep.
I produced outdoor gigs with them for years, so that was one of my things is we would do free Max Creek shows, which was unprecedented.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't allow any publication of them. They played, but yes, we still enjoy a relationship. Other than that,
Jeff Pevar.
Jeff Pevar over the years and several incantations with several different bands. We had Ike Willis, who is most well known as Frank Zappa's band, which my kids shocked me the other day. They'd never even heard of Frank Zappa. Was kind of depressing. Dave Nelson, who is a big part of the Grateful Dead scene, and New Riders of the Purple Sage came there. We've had members of the Grateful Dead play there, the keyboardist, as well as he came under the Zen Tricksters label, but also Tom Constantine, which was another keyboardist between 69 and like 72-ish, I think.
So,
Go ahead.
I always interrupt, Steve. That's how we work. I was going to say, one of the things I wanted to do on this show was bring in some local musicians, some guys that live in Simsbury that have been playing in clubs since the 70s, like Pentangle Pub, and they played downtown, Gemini's. You know, there was a big music scene in this area, in the Valley, because as a high schooler, post-high schooler, we used to go to the Deuce and Mountainside Inn, which I've talked about recently, where Dunkin' Donuts is across from Cumbies. And then Gemini's was a big club place and other
huge.
Things. But for
that
bands,
was the conduit during the 70s and 80s.
Yep.
For many, again, it was almost that conduit we inherited was Gemini's. And they had a large amount of very famous people go through there.
Yeah.
I can't reiterate them because those are foggy years for me, but I know they were big bands.
Well, I remember, and I'm not to get to this, but Tire Biter, Fountainhead, those
those
were
were
bands
regulars
in the local Hartford scene that played everywhere. Yeah. So they came through Simsbury a few times. One question about the sports bar. Did you, you know how if we don't get something on cable, did you used to have like all the games, everybody could come watch them there?
Yes, so everything has evolved, but when we first opened in the 90s, it was what was called C-band. So when you drove by Hoops and Hops, you would see multiple big dishes, like 9-foot dishes that everything was satellite, not like satellite TV now. They were these huge monstrosities that slowly moved to track the satellites. And so we were able to pick up things from around the world and broadcast them.
Cool. So, and you did you always have like a big Sunday crowd, I assume, for football?
Especially football.
Yeah.
Because in those days, in the early, I don't know when it was, but they came out with this package called NFL Sunday Ticket that they put all the NFL together. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, it was piecemeal, and you had to go find the signals and honestly the coordinates to pick up the signal from the local game, and we would broadcast it. So people were not able to do that at home.
Right. I mean, there's been a few games where I know Max has gone to your place or somewhere to watch a game that we don't have at home. So it's good to have that in town.
No, they still do that. You have to buy a subscription, so it's sort of like anteing up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of my cable, which I pay $350 for every month.
Not touching that one.
Yeah, don't. We're working on it. I'm working on it. So couple things also I wanted to touch on, your staff. Like, you have a great staff at the restaurant. Is there crossover between staff, or is it a separate staff that you've had at Hoops and Hops?
It's definitely a crossover.
Okay.
It's considered a promotion from a wait staff position to be able to handle the bar. So when you are a wait staff, you have a support team. You have salad girls and bussers.
Yeah.
You have the manager. You have your other wait staff on the floor. You just have a full support team. When you're in the bar, it's more like a satellite position, and 5 nights out of the week, you're a solo act. So it definitely is someone that has to be able to have a full comprehension of the facility. They still have backup. They still can draw from the kitchen, and the manager still oversees them, and we do have bar backs. But it's just a different, more qualified position with the same staff.
Okay.
The staff has been there for years. Literally, most of the bartenders have been with me for over a decade.
Wow.
Just over, because they're still youngish. But, it's definitely, the staff is my greatest blessing there.
Yeah.
It's really what's made Antonio's, is the over the years, the amazing people that have come in. Some have moved on in different parts of life, but I've just been very fortunate.
So one thing I want to acknowledge, you were named in a list of the top 5 dive bars, or not top 5, top dive bars in Connecticut.
Top 20, but we were number 19,
Number
so
19.
Technically we're elevated.
Congratulations. And then I went on, I just wanted to read something. I went on TripAdvisor to see kind of reviews that you got. And from 2019, somebody just said, great atmosphere, great food, great drinks, great music. My family and I were coming to this bar to watch live band. During my time, I was greeted by several nice people, both staff and patrons. It was a packed house for the band, but it was a Friday night, so I expected as much. It was clean, including the bathroom with old school Hot Wheels collections, and the bar itself was tidy. They also went on to say they liked the food and that they wish they lived closer. So I thought that was kind of nice. I did want to ask you to kind of hold that up, a couple remnants from Hoops and Hops. I guess you point this way.
Yeah, over the year, different calendars. We've done them. You can see the evolution. This is me actually drawing it. That's the best artwork I can do. And then towards the end, this is more Ashley.
Oh, I like that one.
Drawing thing that did color, and she has an artistic flair, but there's only been 4 of us, I think, that did the calendars over the year. And they're definitely a source of pride, but they're also a great archive to look back at the different things we did and the things we were able to do in a different time in life. One of our big things for the first decade, well, actually, we never really discontinued it, was free rides home.
That's awesome.
And if you ever felt you were under the influence, we would put you in your car. So you went home in your car. One of our staff would drive your vehicle home, and we would follow in one of our cars. And it was just the sort of neighborly place it was. It was never a problem. And, now, rightfully so, everyone was very concerned with drunk driving. We were before that, but we also were able to facilitate it. In today's day and age, you have to worry about liability, about getting in someone else's car, and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's really unfortunate, but you can see the innocent roots we came from. And we're still happy to be part of society today, but it's definitely evolved into a much more regimented personality you have to have in society.
Yeah, I'm sure. One thing that's really, really cool is going back that everything's kind of on paper. Like, hand drawn. It's not like a PowerPoint or something like that. What would you say was one of the most popular nights of the week where you had something going on? Is that something you could talk about?
Yeah. So one of our first concepts, which we just came up with, was it's actually on this one, that's what reminded me, is every Tuesday was 10-cent buffalo wings. You can't even buy a buffalo wing wholesale for less than 10 cents. But long story short, we used to sell a ton of wings. We actually won the second best wings behind J. Timothy's many years when they had the Hartford Wing Fest. But we did a large amount of wings. But my favorite promotion was the Bladder Buster.
Okay, what is the Bladder Buster? I'm just holding these up. I mean, it's probably silly to do that, but I'm showing people anyway.
Regardless, no worries. The Bladder Buster is a fun night. Again, local establishment, just having fun. And a Bladder Buster would start spontaneously whenever the bartender decided it was going to be Bladder Buster, and every drink, regardless of what it was $1.
Oh, wow.
And that continued without it being announced until everyone that came up and ordered anything, $1, until someone went to the bathroom or left. So the patrons had to work together to make it a successful event. And when someone couldn't hold it anymore, the event was over. And that was just one of my favorite, most creative ones.
That's funny. I'm sure everybody bonded together. It must have been a really
It was
fun
fun.
night. Yeah.
It wasn't just about the drinking, it was about the camaraderie.
Yeah, and the rides home are a key to all of that too. So what else do you want to tell me about hoops? Anything that I didn't ask you that you want to talk about? Because I want to transition over to what you're looking forward to here.
No, just that, the life of hoops was 34 years. And to be able to see something that I literally created with my own hands, I think I literally built the bar.
Yeah.
Anyways, to watch that and to see my friends who are, my contemporaries, they had their children, like my children, are in their 20s. We've walked that whole step of life together, and now those kids come in. It was really great, and I don't regret going out on top because it's actually sort of cool. We didn't fizzle. We decided, not to lead you to the next step, but we made a conscious decision. Liquor, not to digress, is changing. Society has evolved nonstop, and it continues to evolve. There's been 3 ramifications, and liquor sales, not to be the bearer of that type of news, but they're down for off-premise, which means package stores, as well as on-premise. Just we don't sell as much wine, we don't sell as much beer in the restaurant as well as the bar, to be frank. And my other neighboring businesses are seeing the same thing, a de-escalation of the consumption of liquor. It's 3 things seem to be a factor in it. The first one is probably the most obvious, the legalization of marijuana. You now have a different choice for that type of effect on your being.
Yeah.
The second one is this new generation, the COVID generation. They're just a little different. They've been exposed to different things, and as such, they have evolved into different people. They are less apt to socialize in a bar atmosphere, and they do not have a flavor for alcohol. They never went through that stage. I'll be honest, when I was younger, we had keg parties in the woods of Simsbury. But those people, drinking age was 18. But anyways, that was how I grew up with those. And that's just not something they do nowadays. I can't remember the last time I heard of a younger person having a keg party. You had one.
I had one for my graduation.
And the third thing, to be frank, is the GLP and the health craze. A combination of those 2 things have also hurt the consumption of alcohol.
That's really interesting.
So that's why we had to discuss, are we going to be ahead of the curve or behind the curve? And that's why we were fortunate. I think we were wise in actually acknowledging it at the beginning of the effect, because we've been working on this new concept for over a year now. Well, about a year. And we had to make the decision. If these sales, that the bar obviously is heavy liquor sales, are wavering, then we need to figure out different revenue streams, not to get all business-like about this. So I'll let you ask a question. I didn't mean to.
No, but one thing you pointed out too, that in my day, your day, I'm a little older than you, everybody used to go to bars to meet people, and I don't think that's really necessarily the case anymore. My daughter just got married, and she met her husband online during COVID, and that's a similar story that I hear from a lot of people.
I do too.
So anyway, so you opened the sports bar during the sports bar momentum, right?
Yep.
And now we're moving into a speakeasy, is what I understand.
That is the new concept,
right.
Yes.
So you're kind of following the trends of where things are going.
Again, we are at the forefront, I believe. I don't think there is a speakeasy in Hartford. There's one in Torrington.
Yep.
There's a few around the state, but it's definitely the new concept that you can evolve with. It's going to be the same. Speakeasy will be the starting theme. There's no doubt about that. It's a great theme. We've got some really creative twists. It's a fun opportunity for everyone to express their most creative concepts. But we, again, will go back to our original format, and the customers will dictate the pathway we pursue.
Okay.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, so a couple of things I wanted to point out for anybody who doesn't know what a speakeasy is, right? In the 20s and 30s during Prohibition, when alcohol was illegal, there was these secret clubs, secret doorways to go into a place where you could drink alcohol illegally. and they were very prominent in like New York, Chicago, Detroit. And then this is my Google research or ChatGPT research. And then they've kind of been around from the 90s, but till now. I know there's always some secret things. If you go to Las Vegas, you could go find speakeasies, and in New York. And they're kind of considered like a hidden cocktail bar and more of an intimate lounge, right?
Correct.
Setup. So a couple questions I have for you. Does that involve craft cocktails, music? What do you? I know you said it'll evolve, but when you open, what should we expect? I guess.
So there is that clandestine hidden concept.
Yeah, don't tell us what it will look like, right?
Exactly. So I don't want to divulge too much of what you'll see when you arrive.
Yeah.
But we are embracing that. When you come, so as I said, the liquor sales are down. So part of the new concept is, what else do people want? Let's not just be one mainstream, better to have multiple, not to say revenue streams, but revenue streams. So we've embraced the coffee house. I don't want to utilize the term fad, but the popularity of coffee cannot be discounted. So we're going to embrace it even further. We're going to bring in espresso, cappuccino, latte.
Espresso martinis then?
That is actually a huge seller amongst these speakeasies. The number one drink is an espresso martini, so that did help it. And we're also embracing the nitro coffee craze. So we'll have nitro coffee and nitro cappuccino on tap as well.
Wow.
So we're just delving in a couple different things. The mocktails have evolved. People that perhaps utilize other forms of entertainment besides liquor, they don't want liquor in their cocktail. They genuinely just want a mocktail. So we've started to create some really interesting and cool beverages that are they're cooler than a drink with liquor. The liquor was just a component, and we've really evolved past that with our new offerings.
Okay, I'm still gonna have an espresso martini when I come.
It's still going to probably be number one.
Okay, one thing I suggest, so a couple things that I see really happening at a lot of bars right now, a lot of trivia nights. I've gone to a few around here. We have a trivia team called Pup Fiction. Great name. Yeah, it is a great name, and their Outrider dog, who was on this show, with them, they're new friends. I've seen music bingo at Back East Brewery, which I think is it at Back East or is it at Old Well? One of them have, I think.
I got to be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just not sure. Open mic nights. And one thing I suggested to you that I thought would be a great idea is a guest DJ playing albums. So I think that's something you should consider. I know somebody who would do that. Anything else you want to?
Someone in the room with just you and I?
Yeah. I have a lot of albums, and I'm reliving my youth right now. Whatever's left with it. So we're all excited for what. You didn't even tell us the name of it.
It's the Hideaway.
Okay. All right. And what's the target opening?
We were shooting for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
That's not going to happen. Okay. I'm forever an optimist. We'd love to be open late February, early March. In my head, one of the things that we're fortunate at Antonio's is a huge event for us is St. Patrick's Day, which is ironic with a name like Antonio's.
Yeah.
And the bar also shared that excitement and success on that day. So I'd really like it to be open by St. Patrick's Day as a feel safe, but I'm hoping for sooner.
Okay, that sounds really good. Any other thing you want to mention about Hoops or the Hideaway?
Well, there's an interesting thing that we have right now, a pop-up bar, which I've never even heard of that term. I just made it up. But the long story short is when we removed the physical bar from Hoops and Hops, we had an auction and we actually sold the pieces of it. And I told the people that won the bids that you can't have it yet. You'll have it in the future when we're done with it. And we moved the bar into the greenhouse and redid, the greenhouse is that front room with the large windows. We redid that room and everyone just loves it. It's just such a cozy, it's sort of intimate, but it's just a cozy, warm atmosphere with that bar out there, and it meshes with the decor really well. So I don't know, but right now it's honestly, it's been great for the ability of my bartenders to retain their occupation during this month or two, probably two. And it's also been welcomed. And the beauty of it is pop-up. You know, if you don't come within the next month,
it's gone. Oh yeah. So again, you mentioned too. So if this is a fad, if a speakeasy is a fad, and this transition, I assume you'll just transition to the next thing. No,
it's more of a port of departure.
Okay.
Just like the port of departure for hoops, which really followed my life. I'm in my 60s. You know, it's time for a new beginning. Will my kids take over? People ask me that all the time. I don't know. My kids are 18, 19, and 22. I don't know yet. But this is going to grow and evolve. And Hoops and Hops didn't become the success it did. Well, actually, we were very blessed. We were a success right out of the gate. And hopefully this will be too. But it's going to be fun to watch this grow. And it's sort of like a new generation.
Yeah.
I see this growing for years, though. It's definitely not we're going to switch again in my lifetime, probably. This is just the second iteration.
It's exciting to watch. You know, it's Simsbury's growing. You know, there's a lot of activity in the North End. It's good to see you sticking around. I do want to just say this better not interfere with your role as the deputy first selectman. So get that moving, and then we'll be working on a lot of things coming up in town. Just as a sidebar. So I guess I'll end there. I'm going to thank my guest, who I'm going to just shake your hand and hug you. No. Okay, on TV. If we're on TV, I don't know if we're on. For coming in and taking time out of your busy schedule, which is really busy. Oh, I'm sliding all over. And hopefully we'll get some more episodes of After Hours with Wendy coming up. I have a few guests lined up, and we're going to try to get some momentum back through the winter. So thanks for watching.
For over 40 years, SCM has been the voice of our town,
bringing us together through local programming,
education, and live broadcasts.
SCM isn't just about television.
It's about empowering our community,
ensuring our voices are heard during government meetings,
and celebrating milestones
like our high school graduations.
But today, SCM faces a challenge.
Our funding structure is based on television subscriptions.
And it's no secret, people have been cutting the cord.
With a shift to internet-only subscriptions,
SCM receives less revenue,
even though all our programming is freely available online.
We need your support.
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 Your donation can make a difference.
It will ensure that SCM remains open,
continues to educate our youth,
and keeps our community informed.
Thanks to SCM, I've been honing my creative skills, helping me work towards my college degree.
SCM is crucial for keeping our community connected.
SCM isn't just here to broadcast local events. They're actually preserving Simsbury's history.
Join us.
Join us in preserving Simsbury's voice.
Simsbury's voice.
Together we can ensure that SCM continues to thrive
for generations to come.
Visit our website
or scan the QR code on your screen to make your donation.
Every contribution
counts.
Thank you for supporting Simsbury Community Media,
where your town,
your schools,
and your government come together.